What are the most frequent causes of dispute during the probate process?
There are several, and it's actually quite rare, but it usually has to do with capacity and undue influence, and maybe if you've left somebody out that you shouldn't have left out, like a relative. Undue influence is basically if somebody's been influencing, like a caregiver's been influencing the decedent. So whoever wrote the will, if they were really elderly or sick, if they were pressured to change the will or to include the caregiver, or so any kind of recent changes to a will can be suspect. And you can just imagine the tabloids where you have some kind of nurse taking care of somebody elderly, and then 3-4 months before they pass, they change the will and leave their millions of dollars to the nurse and disinherit the kids. So you could see the tabloids on that. So there would be obviously issues of this undue influence on the decedent. Capacity is a question of whether the person who wrote the will was of sound mind at the time they wrote the will. You obviously want the person writing the will to be of sound mind because you want them to make sure they know what they're doing, because you can't ask them later. There could be questions of that. So not only does the will need to be, notarized and witnessed by two disinterested people, but at some point you may also want to have an idea of what medications the person is on at the time they're signing the will, and maybe a recent doctor's visit where the doctor can make sure that the person, especially if there's some kind of serious medical treatments going on or chemo or other some kind of pain medications, they can all affect your capacity and ability to understand what's going on. And another one that could also cause a challenge would be somebody who's disinherited. So you purposely omit somebody who would normally get something, like your children, for whatever reason. They can come forward and try to challenge it. Normally, it's okay to disinherit folks. It's your stuff. You can do with it whatever you want. But a lot of times, this can create some friction, so you kind of want to make sure the rest of the family is ready for it. And one thing, of course, is that you definitely want to have the rest of your family aware of what your choices are going to be ahead of time. You want them to be able to find the will, number one. That's very important. It happens a lot where they know that there's a will, they just don't know where it is, and then you might as well not have a will then, and only have one copy. You do not want to have multiple versions, because everybody's going to say, well, my version's better, my version leaves everything to me. That's just going to create a fight. Those are the typical things that create a fight in probate.